Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sneha Pokharkar from School of ENTC, MIT Academy of Engineering, Pune. I welcome you all in the course Data Management and Analytics. Our today's topic is in continuation with the entity relationship model we have already done with the part 1, which covers design phases, design approach. Now, we are going to discuss about the basics of this entity relationship. So ER model and how it is involved in database modeling. So let us start. The entity relationship or ER data model was developed to facilitate the database design by allowing specifications of an enterprise schema that represents the overall logical structure of database. The ER model is very useful in mapping the meaning and interactions of real-world enterprises onto a conceptual schema. Because of this usefulness, many database design tools draw on concepts from ER model. The ER data model employs three basic concepts. The first one is entity sets, relationship sets, and third one is attributes. The ER model also has an associated diagrammatic representation and known as ER diagram. This ER diagram, symbols of ER diagram, we are going to learn in the next part of the session. Entity set. An entity is an object that exists and is distinguished from other objects. So if we go into detail, an entity is a thing or object in the real world that is distinguishable from all other objects. For example, each person in a university is an entity. An entity has a set of properties, and the values for some set of properties must uniquely identified an entity. For instance, a person may have person ID property whose value uniquely identifies that person. A person may have its Aadhaar card number which uniquely identifies that particular person, like this. An entity set is a set of entities of the same type that share some properties or attributes. A person is having same PRN, permanent registration number, is having some Aadhaar number, is having some course selection, is having some roll number or division. It means this is nothing but the set of entities for the same person. Okay? So entity set is a set of entities of the same type that share the same properties or attributes. The set of all people who are instructors at a given university, for example, can be defined as the entity set of instructors. Similarly, the entity set students might represent the set of all students in the university. So we'll just have a look of this. See, here in this table, you can see custom instructor ID. So these are the instructor ID and these are the name of the instructor. And the name of this table given is the instructor. So this is one entity, instructor, in which we get information about instructor ID and instructor name. Here the name of the table is student. So student is one entity which gives us information about student ID and student name, right? So these are nothing but the entity sets. So example is given instructor, ID, name, or there may be multiple attributes or multiple columns which represent ID, name, state, city, salary, or in the course ID, what is the title of the course, what is the number of credits for the particular course. So a subset of attributes from a primary key of the entity set that is uniquely identifying each member of the set. See, from the instructor ID, we came to know that 76766 is the ID for instructor Crick, right? Then 10101 is for Professor Srinivasan, like this. Then if we talk about student ID, then 12345 is the ID of Shankar, who is taking the course of Srinivasan in this way, right? So when this relationship means it is association among the several entities. Like here the example is given 44553. This is the Peltier student, right? And whose advisor or whose mentor is Einstein. So that is 22222. So in this way, these two entities are related with each other. And what is the relationship? Relationship is the student and mentor. So for the Peltier, the mentor is Einstein 22222. For the this Chavez 23121, the instructor or mentor is Singh. For Oi, it is Kim. For Brown, it is Srinivasan. Then Shankar and Jang. These two students are having the same mentor, that is Katz. And Tanka is a mentee of mentor Crick. So this is nothing but a relationship, and it is association among different entities. And how these are related to each other? These are related to each other with some keys, and mainly primary key. And this relationship set is a mathematical relation among the two entities, and the condition is the entities should be minimum two, means two or more than two, otherwise relation will not be established. So in this way the entities and the relationship where even e2 e3 the small e are nothing but relation, but amongst which this relation is between these two entities. So if you see, it is shown by 44553 is the Peltier and 22222 is the Einstein. So the relation between them is nothing but advisor. So in this way the relationship sets are developed. The next part comes, that is we have already seen that ER model depends on the three parameters: entity set, which we have discussed, relationship sets, which we have already discussed, and the third part is attributes. Now what is attribute? Attribute refers to a column or a field within the database table. If you see in this table, then this is the instructor ID and this is the instructor ID and this is the instructor name. So instructor ID is one attribute and instructor name is another attribute. Student ID is one attribute. Student name is another attribute in the table student. It represents a specific characteristics or property of the data stored in that table. Attributes define the type of information that can be stored in the table, and these are nothing but the traits of an entity type which describes the entity. For example, the class person would be an entity type, while date of birth would be an attribute. The entity types tend to correspond to one or more related tables in a database, while attributes typically describe the single aspects of the entity type. Means, like date of birth will be describe only date of birth. Student ID will represent only student ID. So attributes typically describes a single aspect of the entity type. And these attributes are association with the relationship set, because yes, just now we have seen or discussed the example of this, that we can relate this, we can develop relationships set based on the attitude, based on the attributes also only. For instance, the advisor relationship set between entity set, instructor and student may have the attribute date which tracks when the student started being associated with the advisor. For example, Tanaka is associated with the Crick from 3rd May 2008. Peltier is associated with the advisor Einstein from 4th May of 2006. So this date of joining or date of association may be one relationship parameter we can consider, right? And we can make some conclusion based on that. So this means attribute can also be associated with the relationship set. So these were the basic three important parameters which are considered in ER designing, entity relationship design. Right? The next part we are going to see in the next slot of the series. Thank you so much for the patience listening. See you in the next lecture.